And then a few minutes later, I got a text from, a three-way text from Tucker Carlson with an unknown number that was President Trump's cell phone. And he said, will you guys talk? And then I said yes. And a few minutes later, I got a call from President Trump. And we talked probably for 30 or 35 minutes. And we talked about a whole lot of issues, different issues, and, about his shooting and about the issues that I was interested in. And he expressed a kind of at that point, which was a conformance with me on some of an alignment with me on some of those issues. And we agreed to meet the next day, and we ended up meeting in Milwaukee, and we had, I think, probably about 2.5 hours together. And at that point, we talked about the food system. We talked about the chronic disease epidemic. We talked about the neocons and the addiction to war. And I was impressed by his I would say, visceral revulsion about the neocons and about their view of an imperium abroad and a national security state at home, which go hand in hand because imperialism abroad is inconsistent with democracy at home. And with also his abhorrence for censorship, which he was, again, it was visceral with him. And I think part of that is because he's seen it in action. He's been the target of censorship the same as I have. And so then we agreed that maybe there was grounds to meet on. They wanted me to do something at the convention, the Republican convention, and I was not ready to do anything. And then after that, I actually contacted the Harris campaign to see if she would have a conversation with me. Mm-hmm. And she just said outright no. And then...
Why do you think that was? I mean, you'd think a conversation
I don't know. To me, it's unimaginable that, you wouldn't have a conversation, that kind of conversation, particularly because, because the race can be so close. It's going to be within 2 or 3 points. And I had a following enough that was large enough to swing it one way or the other. And at least theoretically. So, I wouldn't...
Is it guilt by association? Is it something like that? I mean, I've had a lot of experience with Democrats who would talk to me.
Radioactive in the Democratic Party. And I ended up going to Mar-a-Lago with Amaryllis, my daughter-in-law, who runs my campaign. And we sat down with Don Jr. and with President Trump and Susie Wiles' campaign manager for several hours and talked through these issues. And we agreed to do a unity campaign where we would, like they have in Europe, where there are, there's coalitions where you don't give up your own independence or your capacity to criticize your allies on things with which you don't agree with them. And he was very agreeable to that, and on the issues that we don't agree on, that I would continue to criticize him and he could criticize me without penalty, and to our alliance, and that the issues that we did agree on, he agreed to make them priorities and to involve me in some way in helping to choose the new government and helping to give emphasis to the policies that I was concerned about. And the 3 policies were children's health and the chronic disease epidemic, and which involves the food system and getting the corruption out of the public health agencies and out of USDA. Second, to ending the censorship and surveillance, and number 3, ending the warfare state, ending the Ukraine war immediately.